Okay, welcome to the Village of Buchanan Board of Trustees Workshop Meeting of September 27th, 2022. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. The first item on our workshop is a quick discussion on hiring seasonal help for leaf season starting October 17th. Marcus, this is something we do every year. We usually hire 3 people for leaf season at $15 an hour. How many do we have?
We have one right now, but I know Nancy sent a message to Cindy today that she would like to include also hiring somebody for the rink as well. If you can include that at tonight's meeting as well. So to hire maybe 2 people for the ice skating rink.
Including the 3?
Correct.
So
Correct.
it's total 5.
Correct.
At the same rate?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so far we only have 1. So everybody's interested in the job, please contact Village Hall. We only
Did you
have
drop
1.
the age limit?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was down to 17. I think it was. Yes.
And
The ad went out. We actually put it on the Facebook and sent an email blast out to see if everybody's interested in the jobs.
And also for the leaves. That
Correct.
was the same on Facebook. I
Yeah.
didn't see that. Okay, great. Good. Let's see who's interested. Great. The next is discussion on steep slopes. Our attorney, Stephanie Correa.
So this just really quickly, I think I'm interested in knowing if the board would like to take a look at the steep slope statute, the way it's written, and perhaps make some modifications. And I'm bringing this up now because in anticipation of people going to build on the property now that there'll be an application as well as Entergy. We have our statute, as you know, says you can't build on 30% or greater unless there's no reasonable use, which means you're not building on it ever. And so there's ways I was talking to our planner about it, look at other people's laws, and they're more in line with take a look at what the project is, see how you can deal with it. There's design guidelines, there's to make sure if there's no erosion, there's ways to handle it. And so I'm just bringing it up in anticipation of people coming in and wanting to build on the properties that we're looking at. We're going to have some significantly steep slopes. So it's up to you.
So what community are you referencing that has that wording in it? Because
Like
we took it from the town of Portland back in
Yeah.
2012. We also did take portions of it from the city of Peekskill with that same language. And if I'm not mistaken, the language says you can't use it unless there's no other use for your property.
Reasonable
So-
use, right? Yep.
Yeah, so all of the properties right now are being reasonably used without the disturbance of the steep slope.
Well, I'm right. Yes, right now, but you're going to have developers that weren't, going to want to develop like the Indian Point land, right? Where you're going to have steep slopes. And the one I'm looking at in particular was the city of Rye just redid theirs. And it was interesting to look at because they also had similar language. Cortland, I think the attorney who wrote Portland's wrote ours.
Well, we took it from the town.
Yeah, and most of our code we have. And so, I mean, it's up to you if you want to, our planner also thought it's a bit archaic, but it's up to you. You can leave it as is. And then,
Our steep slope law is only 10 years old.
I know, but he thinks the language meaning no other reasonable use. Well, we all kind of, are looking ahead and thinking, you're going to get developers, and then when you say to them, well, we need, you need to have this much parking to make it worthwhile for you, right? So you need 1.5 spaces per unit. And they're not able to do it, so they go away. You can look for another developer who can make it work.
I'm not so sure there's a developer that has come here that has said that our laws are too difficult to use and they can't get the project working. And they end up getting the project working.
Well, yeah, on the one
And that may be-
years ago, they got the project.
That may be the
working.
reason why they don't come here, is because of the laws.
And it could be, and we did give a de minimis amount years ago on the property on Broadway. That just didn't get built. There's an applicant in front of us now, and who was trying to work in particular with the commercial space because of the way we wrote it, right? And so And they've taken it off the steep slopes and they're really trying to work it. But they want to get in here with a project. And so that's what brought it to my mind and the planner's mind. And you don't have to do anything right now. I mean, like Sean said, they'll make it work. They'll make it work.
They always have.
But yeah, but we might want to consider that no other reasonable use is a tough standard. Because you basically have to buy a property with nothing but steep slopes. Because you can make some property work for something, put a little deli somewhere and you made it work, but are people wanting to do that? So up to you, just the thought, the planner and I were talking about it, and that was when AMS was in, and that's what brought it to our mind. And then he is now doing the rezoning of the Indian Point property and saying to me, it's all steep slopes. And do we want to jump on this? I said, that's the board decision. So I'm bringing it up. It's up to you.
His map shows the Indian Point property is all steep.
Yeah, he said they're going to convert to the, well, not all, but he said that's going to have some significant steep slopes that they're going to have to do. So,
I think it needs to be adjusted personally. I don't think that it's engineering in today is different than it was in the past. I think steep slope for a residential area, I can understand the erosion and everything. With the water containment, I mean, if they can show how they're going to contain their runoff and how they're going to engineer the stability of the slope, I don't see why we can't adjust our law to bring in developers, to make it a little easier to give us a set of plans that work in their favor as well as ours.
Hopefully, we
yeah,
can
no,
use
it would
that
have
same
to be.
methodology to increase the lot coverage and also. Because those same standards.
I can't wait to hear. That sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Okay, we had a joint meeting with the planning and zoning board to discuss possible changes to the code regarding accessory units. They will be getting back to us with their comments. I thought it was a good meeting, the planning zoning board and the village board together. And also going forward, there was a discussion on having a joint meeting also with the planning and zoning board regarding the code modification that we still need to finish. The next is discussion on lot coverage and proposal from David Smith. So there was a resident who asked that we increase our lot coverage. Right now it's 30%. And I think the resident, just correct me if I'm wrong, is asking for more closer to 40% lot coverage. We have something from our planner, David Smith. There was, so there's a scope of work. I think everyone has seen this. There's 5 different things. So I think the cost on that was $1,700. So I'm just trying to get some direction from the board if they'd be interested in going forward with this. I actually think this is the way to go. We can see what other communities are doing. Yeah, and then I'd like to look at different lots in the village. So what's the board's thoughts? Should we go forward with this?
Why do we need an EIS? And what would the EIS entail? And would that also include a seeker for lot coverage?
So one of the things was, I'll just go through it, request input from building inspector, chair of zoning, and village attorney regarding requests within the past several years for variance requests related to coverage. This information will provide some guidance as to what current homeowners have been petitioning for in the way of relief. And I don't think we've had too many people that have come in front of us to increase lot coverage. Also, he would be doing a survey of other comparable communities in Westchester County to provide some context as how maximum lot coverage is regulated. Then he's going to summarize that in a memo to the village board to assist in determining the extent of any revisions. The third is preparation and red line format of proposed amendments to the village code. preparation of a short form EAF for use in the environmental review of the proposed code amendments and attendance at meetings. And like I
Right.
said, the
Doesn't
fees-
include in the EIS. It states in the back that if the EIS is needed, that it's going to be charged extra. And if we're doing an environmental assessment form, and he's specifically mentioning an environmental impact statement, it would make me believe that we're probably going to need something along those lines.
Okay.
And why would we need an environmental assessment form?
Unfortunately, David, our planner isn't here tonight. I don't know.
Are you gonna address
Yeah,
it, Joe?
I think the EAF is just a tool to use to highlight triggers that may be important. So let's say you changed, this is for changing the,
This is third
Lot
changing the
coverage.
lot coverage for the
Yeah.
entire project.
So
for the entire village.
yeah, if you change the lot coverage, so you go through an EAF and let's say one of the questions is, does this increase garbage? No, it doesn't really increase garbage. I mean, if you make something bigger, is that going to increase garbage? Something like that. So these are all questions that are in the EAF that are tools that you use to help make your decision. I don't think it's anything other than that. But like you said, if it goes beyond that, so let's say you trigger something and say, oh, wait a second, this is creating more garbage and therefore you need more garbage trucks. So that would be the EIS portion of it. So that's typically how that works. So, but Dave could probably speak better to what he would be anticipating, what trigger he would be anticipating that would set that on.
Mhm.
So.
Okay, so would the board like to go forward with this? I personally think it's a good idea. It's $1,700.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should move forward with this. I think it's not to exceed 1,700 is what it has on there. I think that's the way to go to move this forward.
And it's, and then we can discuss with him further if he thinks there's any other triggers or anything. I think before we change it, I think that's the appropriate thing to do. All right, that'll be on the agenda. Marcus, the next is discussion on policy for public access, if you'd like to comment on that.
Sure. I don't know how much the board has seen, but there are what they consider First Amendment individuals that go around to municipalities to videotape. I see what access they're allowed to. Well,
Auditors, First Amendment.
auditors, that's what they consider themselves, correct. It just happened in another municipality where they walked into unlocked doors, just walked themselves into the certain areas of offices where they maybe should not have been, but since there was no policy or procedure or recognition from the official body, which will be you, regarding what areas of the buildings off limits, they just walked around whatever it was. A lot of staff members felt uneasy, but it wasn't the issue of being videotaped. It was because they're walking into private offices per se, looking at computer systems, looking at people's papers on the desk. So some municipalities just started trying to create a policy. I found a sample policy from another state that I would like to draft for the board. If you think it's an important aspect, I think it is, because we can put employees only. But the first thing they'll say is, where's your policy? Where did the board approve it? And without that, we have no right to stopping these people to come into public buildings. Everything from the DPW garage to the sewer treatment plant to the village hall and stuff like that. So I would
think
like to,
especially like the DPW and the sewer
Yeah.
treatment plant, because like when you go to get your car done, it's
You don't
for
walk to the
insurance
garage.
reasons, you can't go beyond a certain point. So why would we just have someone walking through our highway garage or our sewer treatment plant?
Correct.
I mean, it's an active working, environment there.
you don't want anybody getting close to the tanks or anything like that. So I would like, if the board is okay, I would like to draft a sample policy, a draft for you guys to review. And then you can vote on it or not vote on it, but at least try to get a little bit proactive and not react to something like this happening. So if that's okay with the board, I can draft something up, give it to you, review it, approve it or not, but at least we want to try to get ahead of the curve on that. I'll send you the other municipality, what they had to go through. They actually called the police department and that's what they want to see. They want the police department to respond, then they'll FOIA the call, and it just keeps on snowballing what they do. So
And the police department in those examples found no wrongdoing on the First Amendment.
that's correct, but no policy or
So if
procedure.
we create something to prevent that from occurring, we might be running into an issue. because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to incite a confrontation, so that now you're on the hook.
But with the policy, I checked with the state with the policy, at that point, they're trespassing. So, and they've heard that if you put a policy, for example, no one without being escorted can walk into the sewer treatment plant, and they do, that's trespassing.
That's a work area.
Correct.
It should be like that,
Correct.
right?
But-
I mean, the DPW garage and the sewer treatment plant are work areas. It's work zone.
Without a policy, it's public access, they can
So
walk
if you
in.
put it to a hard hat area, you can't go in there without a hard hat. I mean, these guys are not, it's a work zone area, right?
Correct.
They'd be allowed in there anyway.
That's the issue that the municipality, they've walked into police departments, they've walked into
There's
police
chemicals
garages.
that exist. There's oil.
I agree.
You just close the door.
I agree.
I mean, this building I can see, but
And that's what hallways, the meeting room is open, the hallway's open, the bathroom's open, but I don't want somebody to walk into Sharon or Cindy's office and walk right up and be able to videotape everything on people's desks and stuff like that. So again, I just want to throw it out there and you guys decide what you want to do.
I mean, it's not like with the office, we're not denying anyone access to come into the office.
Correct.
But to come behind the door
Correct.
and just kind of wander around.
as long as that policy doesn't come back to bite us, then I don't see why.
I'm going to draft it and then I'll give it to Stephanie and give it to you and you guys discuss it.
I don't understand why we can't put no admittance past this point.
Yeah.
They're not walking over and standing over Cindy.
Correct.
I mean,
There was a sign there that says that.
and they walked past it? Oh, no, they didn't do that here, did
Well,
they?
we're trying to be proactive on this. Is that what this has happened here? This happened here? Or we're just being proactive?
No, it happened. It happened in Yorktown. It happened in Yorktown.
And they walked beyond the
Yes.
door? They just
Yeah.
opened it up, went in?
Yes.
The guy's little creepy. I mean, he's literally videotaping the whole thing. He's asking personal information of people, the names, but he's also scanning the room and he's got pictures. If you've got pictures of your family behind sitting on your desk, he's like zooming in on it. It's, it's a little intrusive.
It's a lot intrusive.
Yeah, from the video I saw, it's intimidating, it's intrusive. And, I could see people being a little, leery of it.
So let me draft up a sample policy, give it to Stephanie, we'll give it to the board and whatever you want to decide is fine.
Keep the creeps out.
Okay, tonight we have with us also Chief Shane Farrell, and we're going to discuss, right now, the village speed limit is 30 miles per hour. And I know Anthony had brought up his desire to reduce the speed limit to 25, and then the law changed, and now in Albany, now we're able to do that. But Chief, do you have the slides? that you-
I can bring it up.
If you want, just come up to the podium and tell us what your findings were. Thank you.
Oh, I don't have it on this laptop, sorry.
I'd like to say just one thing on Chief. He's done a great job with this. And now seeing all the data that you provided me and the rest of the board, I think I have to retract. I think 30 miles an hour I think everybody's been doing really well in the village. I mean, from your data, looks good.
Yeah, I mean, we've been utilizing the radar machines that we
Yeah.
ended up getting. So we've been moving them around and just gathering, as much information. We've been doing it for over a year, so we've been moving it around. And just, I mean, the numbers are just great. I mean, vehicles going under 35 miles an hour, 92% at Tate Avenue, almost 93%. Westchester, you're looking at 93.9. Rockledge, 99%. Are going under 35 miles an hour. I mean, so some of these are just a month long, grab, or Tate Avenue was a year. Westchester was almost a year. Stockford was just a month. But these are the numbers that we're getting. I mean, it's up to the board. I mean, I think people will adjust. If you lower it, they're just going to adjust their speeds anyway, and it's not going to be an issue. But overall, I mean, we're looking at cars under 30 miles an hour. Where Seward Street was under 30, it was 92%. Westchester was under 30 to 71%. So these are pretty good numbers. So I don't think we have an issue. Our accidents, speed related, in the last 4 years, there's only been 2 that were speed related. so it's not a safety issue as well as right now. But it's up to the board. I mean, it's totally enforceable. It's not really going to change our job. I think people will adjust. And we're supposed to be anyway. But
So your personal opinion is we leave it alone?
I mean, I don't have a problem. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I
See
mean,
I don't
as
see an
you're a
issue.
professional, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't see an issue. My guys have been out there and they reported the same that
Mhm.
we said, let's start moving things around and try to just get a grasp of what we got out there. Just came back. So
And I don't have the report in front of me, but it shows when if there's an issue, like what time it would be.
oh yeah, we could break it down to times and
Okay.
stuff, and that's how we kind of do our enforcement. So
Okay,
we utilize it that way. That would be thousands of pages for you guys, but we just broke it down to incoming, like different directions, all the different miles per hour, things like that, just to give you guys a good snapshot. So
No, that data is helpful. Thank you.
As long as we can keep going with the data, I think we're
we're
ahead of the
just set
curve.
up another one. We're gonna get that out as well.
Yeah.
So we'll have three out, and we can move them around. And
You hear a couple incidents where people get spooked by speeders and they
oh yeah,
come
well, when
to
you
us
see the
and
one or
complain.
two, I mean,
And they complain to us, and it's like, yeah, we got to do something, but then again, we don't want to do something drastic that really is not going to affect anything. If you're telling me the data is what it is, then I got to believe that we're doing just fine at 30
I
miles
believe
an
we're
hour.
doing just fine. I don't have any concern with the speed.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
there's
don't
always
want
one.
you don't want another situation like what you have over on Charlie Road in Montrose, where you put that the 15-mile-an-hour sign, and next thing you know, we're out there shooting radar, and everybody's getting a ticket. So I mean, if the data shows that we're in good shape, then I think we're in good shape.
All right, thanks, Chief.
No problem.
Well, one of the other things that the data shows is that it's a lot of vehicles that travel the main roads. The snapshot for Tate Avenue had 407,000 vehicles. Westchester Avenue was 301,000, Rockwood 16,000, Seward 18,000, and Lindsay's 48,000 times that passed that monitor. Also, I don't know if you guys read the reports, they have around 50 to 60 traffic violations a month. The reports that the chief gives us. And when there is an issue and they're contacted, they do the speed enforcement. You'll see between 20 and 30 speeding violations that have been written up for those perturbations that you see on the chart. So it wasn't a good idea to look at it, but I do believe that changing the speed limit is a solution and surgical problem. So I'm definitely in favor of leaving it.
I agree.
Now that we saw the data. That was so helpful of Holtec to, Holtec
That's
slash
great. What we
Entergy to
learned, I mean, what we
donate
learned,
that to us.
Dave Reg really did a lot of this research. Officer Reg, he's been learning how to do all that stuff. So, how to do all the grants and stuff. So, credit to him for really putting this together.
All right, good. Thank you.
Thanks. Great job. Thanks, guys.
Okay, the next is a request to accept the storm groundwater connection onto the village stormwater system.
No, there's one
Did you
before
skip
that.
one? Oh, did I skip one? Oh, I apologize. No, I apologize. So going back a couple of years ago, we had a lot of traffic coming out of Greentown Road, and it was garbage trucks and a lot of heavy equipment. So a sign went up that there was no left-hand turns. And we included all vehicles, also passenger vehicles. It was just no left-hand turn out of Greentown Road onto Blakely Avenue. So now there's a business there that would request that we allow passenger vehicles to take a left off of Greentown Road. And I personally don't see a problem with that. I think we were trying to eliminate all the heavy trucks all over Blakely Avenue and then down 9A. And we still see them occasionally, so what we would just put on there, passenger vehicles only can take a left.
No commercial traffic. No left hand.
I would have, don't touch weight. There's no way enforcing.
No, commercial traffic, that's it.
What do you think, Chief?
That'll be a local law change, right? Steph?
Yeah, but it'd only be a civil penalty, it wouldn't be a V&T. And that's the problem we ran into for many, many years on trying to limit vehicles from making a left. Because it's going to be civil. And that's why the property.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with any cars turning left.
Passenger.
I mean, the trucks don't go up and turn around anyway and come back, so that's, what they do now, so that's why you still see them, because you just go up the right way and then they turn around and come back.
So we're doing no left turn commercial, or we're doing,
Yeah, no left turn commercial.
No, just no left-hand turns for commercial vehicles.
that's what, yeah.
They're all tagged commercial.
No, as opposed to, we're not gonna say you may take one if you're a passenger car. We're just gonna say none for commercial. That's
No,
that's
that's
the only
it.
difference,
Keep it
right?
simple.
No, that's
And
simple
before when
enough.
it said just no left turns, period.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
it says now.
Okay.
So is that a
That's good.
VAT violation or a civil? issue?
Yeah, it's a B&T issue.
VAT?
Yeah. Traffic control.
All right, thanks, Chief.
When did we do that?
Same line.
About 2 years ago.
Yeah, not
So
too
right
long.
on.
So would that be a local law? Steph, would that be a local law?
Is there any
I
reason
think
why
that's how
we
we
have
did it.
it?
I don't know if it's a
No,
recording.
I know there's
I'll
no
check
commercial
that.
vehicles
I'll check.
allowed on- on- Is there any reason why we have the-
I think that goes back to when Indian Point was open. Remember?
Yeah, that goes back to when the gate, that was an access point for Indian Point, I would imagine.
And
No.
then what we were having,
That's-
there were households there.
Then why wouldn't you make it right there?
We had two
There's no
public hearings.
obstruction.
We had two public hearings on that.
Because I was
Back in
tapped on it.
2011
And
and
it's like, yeah,
2013.
he's talking to you, you can't hear it.
Because the village did not have
Okay, just tell
proper
me,
maintenance
so
on its
whatever.
easement between Blakely Avenue and Broadway, we created a sightline issue. So when people were in the business downstairs and the apartment upstairs, they were using the red light on Broadway. When it was red, they would make a right out of it. We did have, like I said, two separate public hearings to change that. And the people in that area came out and said that they wanted that light to stay, no turn on red. Now, things have changed. There was a stop work order at 300 Blakely Avenue. So I don't know what kind of business is being held down there, except the construction business. But
I believe it's residential now, isn't it?
it's supposed to be, but it's not.
Well, there's 17, 18 violations over there, isn't there? Peter?
They still have two Sealands back there. They operate the construction business out there as well as the property management business.
Which one is
And
this?
it's one of the only places that had an armed robbery in 2008, 2009. So, who knows what's going on down there? But like I said, we have had several public hearings to change that. If you want to have some more, I'm sure we couldn't. Times have changed. So I'm sure that could go away. But that was the reason why it stayed there.
And I think it was also a safety issue because the cars were coming around that corner and there's other residential households, not only where Johnny Ritz was. And they were coming, they weren't stopping, so they were just zipping around the corner. And it was a difficulty for the people that were living there backing out into Blakely Avenue.
So I don't think there would be an issue with having another public hearing. There has been enough time in between of the last one, so maybe the same concerns the residents don't have the same concerns as they had before.
So Peter, where are we at with that? If we bring it to a public hearing, or where are we at with that 300 Blakely?
Can you pass the mic over?
The owner has come in to discuss, he wanted to sell the property originally, and then now he's keeping the property. He wants to purchase the property behind him and put up some type of rental scenario, apartment building. He wants to keep it, but he's vacated his business out of there. He has one legal apartment on the second floor, which is a Section 8 scenario, which is multiple violations. And downstairs, he created another living area, and most people are not there, from what I've been told by him at this point. But we did have access to the building, and 12 additional violations were written because of the illegal living areas, electrical, plumbing, carbon, smoke detectors, things of that nature. And that was over a year ago, and it's been in court. I wrote the violations, and this is where we are in court.
And they lost their the commercial status.
Yes, yes. They did not, I believe there was some parameter of keeping the business operating for X amount of hours a year for some sale of a hot dog truck or things
Yep.
like that. They kept food sales or something 2 or 3 times a year and it had to be documented and inspected. The previous inspector had a few notes in his file about that happening. And then that has not happened for over a year. And at that point, he's lost his mixed use scenario. He is residential R10 only now. And I informed him of that. He was quite upset about it. So, lost it.
Okay, so what's the board's desire? Would you like to do another public hearing or leave the sign as is?
I'd like to have a little public hearing. I'll second that.
All right, so we'll hold the public hearing on the right-hand turn from Broadway onto Blakely Avenue. So going on to the next. So this to accept the storm groundwater connection onto the village stormwater system. Marcus, would you like to speak to this?
Sure, I can start off. George, you can ask me to add anything on that side. Many years ago, the village put a pipe in to a private piece of property to run stormwater throughout from the village storm drains down to the lake. At sometime in the 50s, I believe, a neighbor to the property owner connected 3 connections into our stormwater system. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what's the approval process. As far as we can see, we have no record of that person having authority to do so. They did get authority from the property owner to run the pipes through their property, but never got permission from the village to do so. So at which point he's trying to do the right thing. He said, can I get permission for the village to do that? Talk to George, talk to Stephanie. George said, we have no problem as long as the connection is proper and engineered properly. It actually will make his property more usable, takes the water out of his property to do it. I'm familiar with this. A lot of people connect to the stormwater system as long as it's just stormwater, it's not sewage or anything like that. So as far as we don't have an issue with it, correct, George?
Correct, yeah, as long as Stephanie looks it up and says it's okay.
I haven't gotten an agreement yet. I'm waiting. I did hear from the person who said he's got counsel who will be contacting me so we can draft an agreement. Because yeah, we need to have it legalized and I'll hold harmless and identified and all of that. So as soon as I get that, I will report back.
So as soon as we get that, we'll put it on the voting for you guys to approve it. We'll actually put it in our system. George keeps our GIS system. We're connected to our system, so we know where our connections are connected to. And I give the guy benefit. He bought the property with this and he's trying to legalize it. So I give him credit for that.
How do you discover?
Because he actually had a building permit. That Peter can explain how he discovered it. Go ahead.
The owner of the property came in to apply for a patio permit and a kitchen scenario. And I was inquiring where all the meter pipe drains went to, and he had no idea. So he paid for the camera system and exposed every intersection point on the property between his own property and the village line through a neighbor's property. And he dug every section up, and I got to witness it all. He had nothing to do with originally installing it. There was permission given to run the lines. But again, that's where his meter drains were running from the property from the 60s, 70s, 80s, whoever had tried it, and there's no record. So he was just, we're trying to get him to, again, he's trying to legalize what was done. And move forward to this project. I have no issues with what he's doing. He's not affecting the neighbors surrounding or what's going into the system.
How are we gonna put this on the deed? That's the issue. If we approve this, and then that property gets sold, and now that new property owner can't develop that.
With an easement? You mean the easement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the neighbors, us, we're fine with us. Tying it in, if we're approving this, how are we gonna verify or if the adjacent property gets sold, that we're approving these pipes to go through?
Well, there's an easement agreement between them.
Between them.
Agreement for us, not for the adjacent owner.
How wide is the?
No. Good.
My understanding is there's an easement from the property owner who owns the property, and if that person said, come on, you can go ahead and connect, and did an easement. And then they went ahead and connected. When we found out, we said, well, wait a minute, there's no permission from the village to allow you to connect. That's okay. You have an easement agreement with the person allowing you to.
If this neighbor's come up for that for approval.
I do agree there should be a filed easement
Exactly.
and legalized. We were just discussing
Yeah,
that.
we
So I'm
just-
gonna talk to them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to them about, filing it because someday in the future, somebody's gonna wanna know that that's a legally filed easement. Down county on the property shows the record, other than just permission from us.
Right.
Instead of just an agreement.
This is a giant piece of property, one of the biggest undeveloped pieces of property within the village. And when it changes hands, it can be subdivided by our code. And if this isn't legalized in some fashion, we're gonna be left holding the bag. Because we approved,
We approved the connect,
we
no,
approved the connection.
we approved the connections, but that's I've seen private water lines, private sewer lines connecting to a municipal main. If something happens to those lines, it's their responsibility.
That's-
Yeah. So you're right. The person who has the laterals connecting,
Yes.
he should be asking for a proper easement from the other property. Absolutely. But that's between the two neighbors. I don't think the village should be involved on it. Because
Why not? We're approving.
we're approving the connection only.
Can that be developed with the line, the massive line, it's basically that property? I don't think it can. So-
Well,
It's
this-
a village line.
You have to relocate the easement.
Yeah.
Relocate the drain.
Lake and the wetland.
Yeah, we have the meets and bounds on our line.
This one.
Yes. Yes, we do that.
I'm waiting for an attorney to.
Yeah, we haven't talked to you.
contact me on
Yeah.
it.
George, the connection was ever inspected or no?
Well, there was a 2001 or 2001 of two that were in front of the property, but the rear of the property wasn't inspected. So.
the rear is the one that
And
So we're gonna.
That's the one
that- yeah,
that was
He's
the
just
issue.
tying into existing connection, right?
That's
He's
right.
Not redoing the
No.
connection. Okay, as long as he's not redoing that connection.
It's not new. It's.
No,
it's
I'm talking,
connection to-
what kind of pipe is that? Is that steel or is it concrete?
The larger pipe that
The
we
easement.
owned
Yeah.
is actually steel,
It's corrugated steel?
corrugated steel.
So that's connection, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that pipe is eventually gonna rot out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the integrity where the connection is gonna be jeopardized.
That's the hold harmless and.
That's all almost everything else.
And
Mhm.
honestly, Sean has a point. And if an attorney contacts me, I'm going to suggest that he protect his client.
Correct.
Making that a legal easement because the next person along could come up and rip it apart. And
I'm
he
okay
doesn't
with
have that connection
I just
anymore. So we
Make
need
sure
to
the
have it.
connection is properly done.
Correct.
And the connection,
I mean,
right?
it's
So
been
we're
there
gonna
for
approve the connection, but
30 years, right?
At least 20 and the other one's 30, yeah.
Correct.
So
And who's paying for all these services?
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just got a bill, we just paid $173 or something.
He gave us escrow.
Okay.
yeah, I think it's a $1,500 escrow.
That's what we asked for.
It's definitely. Done.
Anthony, that pipe had been repaired at minimally 4 times. over
It's
the
already
last
collapsed
50
several
years.
times.
Issues on.
The main line pipe.
No,
not the
no.
Connection to our line. the
No, I mean, that's
actual
what I'm talking about. You're talking about the what is that, like a 36?
It's a 40 by 50,
You're talking about-
48 by 60.
60.
Okay.
You're talking about the red line,
It's an arch pipe.
No, he's talking about the blue line.
The
so the-
tie-in pipe.
the tying pipe.
Oh, that's been repaired.
Yes,
Yes.
there was PVC, clay. pipe.
Well, you're telling me that red is clay?
There was 4 different pipes in there.
He better,
Over the
he
50
better get
years.
rid of that clay.
That's- yeah.
That's
While
why
he's got
That's what he's doing.
the opening, he better get rid of that
He's
clay
gonna do
now.
this, yes, he's gonna do the pipe.
Is
Okay,
there
yeah,
an easement
that's
for
not
these?
gonna make it.
That's what I was gonna say. It's
Yeah.
different.
No.
The one from 4-inch, 3-inch, black, the PVC.
Yeah. Anything black or red, get rid of it.
That's what I'm saying. He's updating.
No, that's great. I don't have a problem with it.
So they need to,
But it's been there,
his attorney.
50.
I mean, it's stupid not to.
Starting.
Yeah.
We do one.
Well, eventually that steel pipe is
I didn't know
gonna,
what these were.
it's gonna have a failure
Yeah.
somewhere.
There's an easement from this? Or one of those things?
Is it lined?
Eileen,
No, if it's lined, then it'll
We have
make
to,
it.
So we gotta
The the DBW is gonna start
Coach
actually
Eileen allowed
monitoring
one,
it
so I don't know
further
which one it
to
is.
maintain cleaning it out because it has.
I think it's this
points
one.
that formed
It
when
was
that
19, it was
got blocked
1950
over,
something, and that's when it
stones
was.
and things that it got like air
So what's
Give
the
them
nice of
footing.
the little, we may have
because
this
it's all down.
noise.
Yeah, but any obstruction will stop and it'll
It's
continue.
different stones, but now they've been.
This guy. is
Yeah, you can camera that line and jet it out.
He
That's
should
all.
write it, prepare
It's
it,
a- it's a-
and file it.
We jet them all the time.
But technically, if I mean it, so-
Yeah, so but that's his problem.
Okay, that's all I have on the
Exactly,
agenda.
exactly.
Does any other board members have any comments or
Yeah, I was wondering what the status of the Lens Cove property in the city of Peekskill negotiations.
Still going back and forth with the city. New manager, as I don't know if everybody knows, who was the controller, took over. Keep on emailing him. He said he's sort of talked to the city council and get back to me. And I've been asking before every meeting, so I'm going to reach out to him again and see what's going on with that. Originally said no problem, pass it to the assessor. The assessor then talk to the assessor, and then he passed him back to the manager, and then it talked to corporation council. The corporation council left, became the manager in Dobbs Ferry, so there's been a lot of change over there. So I'll follow up again this week, see if I get an update.
Also, we really haven't spoken about the property on White Street that's been used in the village of Buchanan's property. Remember, we had the issue with the neighbor and the wall and the parking.
Yeah, they got a lawyer. Yeah, they got a lawyer. So we actually got a survey done, which they paid for, and they got a lawyer. So at this point, I'm waiting to hear back from Stephanie's been about to talk a little bit to the lawyer. We're going to get an update from them to apply for the village board for a license agreement or something to access that property. And then them and the neighbors, the neighbor put a fence up, and the neighbor they built a wall, and then the neighbor got it, and that's been going back and forth to the two neighbors.
So are the violations written on anything, or in court, we're just trying to negotiate something?
No, the prosecutor says it's the neighbor issue, it's not a village issue.
I'm talking about them using our property.
Yes, yes.
If somebody falls and breaks their leg, we're gonna be liable for it.
Oh, I agree with you. That's why,
Why are we still permitting them to use our property?
because the lawyer's writing them a license agreement for the village board to consider approval to allow them to use that property. So I'm waiting to follow up again this week. I know the lawyer sent an email back to us. We sent him a survey. They were going to do the meets and bounds and write up a license agreement to give to Stephanie. I'm waiting for that to come in so Stephanie can review it and pass it back to you guys.
So we don't have any interim documents that protect us from anything that would occur on that property?
No.
Yesterday, there was 3 cars parked there. One was around the telephone.
Haven't they been doing that for years, like forever? Isn't that why
Yeah.
you decided to do licensing,
Yeah.
right?
They were using 2, and then they filled in the side to put an extra out there, and that's when they built the wall. So, and we're aware of the situation. If somebody gets hurt, we're gonna be liable for it. All right.
Wait,
Mhm.
now that Sean said that, the license agreement I thought was for 2 cars, two parking spaces. Is it 3?
It is.
Well, they squeezed one on the side.
That's
They,
it.
they put a fence up. They're parking it.
And the fence is on their property or our
Texera.
property?
It's on the neighbor's property.
On the neighbor's property.
On
We're not
Texera.
giving- we're
Yeah.
not giving a license
No.
agreement to somebody else's
No,
property. It's
the
not
meets and bounds of the lengths of the circle property that they're using. That's the only area we're gonna,
Well, she's not doing anything. but-
correct. And the village board will have to consider if they want to do it or not in the first place.
Also, I saw when doing the bills, I see that Kevin's Hayes name is still on our credit card. I thought we were gonna get rid of all of
I got the paperwork and I just haven't.
that. And also, I wasn't at the last couple of meetings, but I did watch them on television. And I saw that there was gonna be some monitoring at BV for certain things. And I was wondering if we could use that technology in other places in the village to maybe codify it. So I'm not sure exactly what monitors the mayor had requested. I don't remember what you had asked for.
That pertains to the decommissioning, and I'm on that committee too, and they still haven't come up with a final decision. There will definitely be monitoring at the EV school. I asked also for possibly the village hall here, but what they've come up with now is monitoring on the perimeters of the property mostly. So there will be, school definitely still will be monitored, but they haven't decided on the technology yet. It's in between 2 right now, so we should be there. We should be there pretty soon by the end of the year.
And also, I saw that we're having the free ice skating. I was wondering if maybe we could also lower the prices to the pool or allow the kids to go to the pool for free. If we're allowing the kids to go to the ice skating rink for free, maybe we could also do that, because it is their recreation also,
I think it was just the one day.
Oh, just the one day?
Yeah, it was for the day of the Halloween. So Nancy had asked if we could have it for that day. So when we do after our Halloween parade at the pavilion, that we could do it then.
Well, so
for them.
everybody's still gonna be charged like we were charged last year.
Yeah, it was just, the free thing was only after the,
Okay.
the event,
Oh,
yeah,
right,
that's
fine,
all.
right.
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
I think she did it. It's like a promotional thing.
Okay.
And I believe it was free
That's
for
it.
residents and then for town or anybody outside of the village would be a charge,
I think it was five.
$5.
Just for that day, right?
Yes.
Going forward.
Oh, so going for that's different then.
Yeah.
That's different.
Okay, so all the residents are gonna be for free for the
Right,
entire season.
right.
So there again, maybe we should do that for the swimming pool also for the kids. You know? Because if you're using the same rationale that this is their recreation stuff, the pool's their recreation stuff too.
We'll talk to Nancy about that because, especially with the pool, I think there's requirements that they have to have an adult at during a certain age. I don't remember all the rules with the pool. I forget. But yeah,
Yeah, so like I said, if we're allowing them to use it for free there, we should, in the winter, we'd be allowed to be free in the summer. Also, watching the meeting, I know we're gonna be borrowing some more money. And I was wondering if we have a limit on what we can borrow. What's our ratio of debt to
Oh,
bringing in the taxes?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's extremely low. There's a debt ratio that's set by the state of New York. And that's an analysis we have to do on it. There's a debt ratio, tax margin ratio. We have to provide that to the state. We can provide you to the board.
Well, I know
tomorrow.
we're only paying like 3 or 4% in debt service, but we only bring in $4 million from our tax rolls. And I know we owe more than 4 million. I was just wondering how much more can we borrow? You know,
I'll-
how many times income?
The debt ratio is based on total assessed value that's set by the state of New York. I can get you the analysis and you can take a look at it. I don't know off the top of my head, but I can get it. We'll get it to the whole board.
And in the budget where it says total appropriations, we taken, like I said, $4 million. That doesn't include the pipeline money or the Con Ed money or the pilot money, right? That's in the other line, right?
Appropriation versus revenue. So you're talking about revenue, appropriation of expenses. And then,
Yeah, real property tax levy.
Yes, okay,
So real property tax levy is outside of the pilot, outside. of
correct. That's
the
just
pipeline,
taxes.
And outside of the Con Ed payment.
Correct,
Oh, that's just.
Taxes.
individual tax. Okay,
correct.
Thanks.
No problem.
That's all I have. Oh, one other thing, Kim. I know you had the meeting about the accessory apartments. Do you have it drafted on law?
no, we were waiting to hear back from the planning and zoning board. We came to some agreement and they're supposed to come back to us. And then we'll have that draft.
Okay.
So we're still, it's still in the process, but it was a good meeting. I was really happy, the planning and zoning board, their input and everything. And Peter, our building inspector, was there too.
That's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I have one request, just something quick. The Little League contacted me about Buchanan Day.
Mhm.
They want to know if they could put a table there to promote their cornhole tournament and the league itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
I just wanted to get the okay from the board.
sure.
Now, did they contact Nancy for that? Is that?
No, that would be
That's-
just me. Yeah.
Okay.
See,
All right.
yeah.
And we also, I'm glad you mentioned that. After you're done,
I'm done.
you're done. You're done.
I just want to know if it was okay.
Yeah, of course. So Buchanan Day is this Saturday from 3 to 8. We have a band, the Hillbilly, oh my gosh, I forgot it. The Hillbilly Parade Bands. And that will be from 5 to 8. And we have all kinds of things. Our police department will be handing out ice cream. That's free. Our fire department will be cooking hamburgers and hot dogs, no charge. I got money I asked Holtec, because we used to get money from Entergy. I asked Holtec to support our Buchanan Day. We're also going to have bouncy castles. And we're going to have our St. Patrick's Day committee is going to be there. And they're going to be doing a raffle. Our beautification committee is doing some arts and crafts things, a spider. You can make a spider Tootsie Roll pop thing. It's cute. It's really cute. I've seen it. And also you'll be able to do paint rocks And whatever you want, you put your name or whatever on it, and that'll go around the flagpole by the pavilion. And there's other things, and I just can't remember everything right now. But please come, meet your neighbors, hang out, have some fun, relax, and that's 3 to 8 at the pavilion this Saturday, October 1st. Look forward to seeing you there. And also, we're going to have our Little League. So yeah, they're working on, and I know Steve has been involved in this. They're going to have, it's October 16th,
15.
15th,
Cornwall.
the cornhole tournament. So they're looking to raise money.
Right, there's a group of them that are looking to go to Cooperstown, I believe, next summer, so they're looking to raise some funds to offset the cost.
So that should be a fun day too. So come out and support them also. If we don't have any other, is there any comments? Hello, Eileen, from the audience.
Can we get one of your microphones up here? Because this is just awful.
Yeah, we just talked about it, so we got to fix it for next time. Yes.
Yeah.
Working over it, it really was.
Yeah, but it doesn't, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not as clear to
What?
me.
Hopefully, we'll have it fixed by next week.
Okay. Do we have a liaison to the school system?
Yes.
I don't remember your appointment, so I don't know who it is.
Daniel?
Danny.
Daniel will be the man.
Okay. There was an incident at the football game between two 10-year-olds, and there was a knife involved in this. I don't know if the troopers were called, but the following night, the victim received threatening internet messages from the assailant. And these are 5th graders. So I'm just curious as to what the district is doing about something of this nature.
Well, I know they're not supposed to, the littler kids are not supposed to be over there without parents, that I know.
There were parents there.
And they're supposed to be chaperoned by a parent.
I know. Unfortunately, they were on the playground.
I mean, Steve may be able to shed some light on this too, because I think we were having a discussion about this, that communication was being sent out from the school to the parents that their younger children are not to be there unattended. Now,
Nor on the Franchi Lindsay playground during football.
Right.
Okay. I'm just curious as to what the school is going to do about that, because I asked.
Then you can reach out to our superintendent and ask him what's being put in play.
Right.
Because yes, it is a concern. I was over there at homecoming, and I can tell you there was probably at least 150 kids on the Franchi playground.
I'm sure there were. Yeah.
So
Okay, so you'll keep us informed
yeah,
about
I
the
will make a
school
phone
system?
call. Absolutely.
Okay. The other day, I spoke to Scott Horton, and this is about the Brook situation. He came over with the two highwaymen came over, put a grate over a hole that had a grate, which empties into this pipe that leads to Lake Mihawk. And Stephanie, I will talk to you regarding how this all works from my property to the connection for Set Panties. I don't have a problem with him connecting as long as everybody else does it. But if I do sell the property, it's 4 to 6 acres there, and it goes to the lake, encompasses the brook, and about 20 to 30 feet past the brook easement to his house. So I don't know how that will all play in a deed, but I would like to be able to, get some advice on that. Sure. Before I call my lawyer. So that's it. I want to thank Scott for having that done. He also will look at the masonry at the end of that brook, which Bob had fellows cut the tree that was growing out of the masonry, but it has eroded the masonry. So, or taken it apart a little bit. So that does have to be repaired. But evidently the brook piping is clear and clean, according to my neighbor who went into the brook with the camera. So everything is nice and clean and clear. So if anybody wants to see that easement from 1955, it's with the building inspector. and also the little document that was stated in 2001 with Penny and Mike Baisley when they had the pipe done by Val Santucci and Jim Hahn. So all of that is most documentation I have. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Eileen. Okay, if no one has anything else, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss contractual negotiations. Can I have a second?
Second, I'd also like to
Oh,
discuss a
sure.
lawsuit.
Okay, and we'll include a lawsuit too. Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a great weekend and day.